You're listening to the Life with Old Dogs podcast, and I'm your host, Dawn Memnaugh, primary caretaker of all of our wonderful senior German Shepherds right here at Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary. All right, hey there, and welcome back. So if I sound a little congested, I am. I've been sick for a little bit with some respiratory thing, not COVID, but not feeling good nonetheless. So I'm trying to keep it together here to get through this Life with Old Dogs podcast episode. So this week we are going to be covering putting meal toppers on Kibble. Okay, so it's called Kibble with a Kick. Adding whole foods to your older dog's diet. So I hear you loud and clear. Okay, I really do. I've had people tell me to my face, I don't have time to cook for my dogs. I barely have time to cook for me and my family, and I don't have time to cook for my dogs. So I get it. I do. I mean, that's why we use Kibble, right? Because it's convenient. So how about just like zhuzhing up or churching up your Kibble? I've been doing that quite a bit recently because, again, I've been under the weather and haven't been feeling well, and life still keeps happening here at the sanctuary with the dogs in my care, and the cats here at the sanctuary, and the goats, the ducks, the chickens, and on top of that, the shepherd shop. And I'm actually finishing up my last week of my college courses that I've been taking. So it's probably why I'm sick, because I've been doing too much. So I totally get it. And I've been doing the exact same thing these last couple of weeks where, I've been utilizing a lot more Kibble lately, whether it be from or canine caviar, and sometimes they get canned food on top, and other times I'm putting a home cooked meal topper. And the home cooked meal toppers, they're regular food that human grade food that I cook for the dogs, but instead of giving it all to them as a whole meal and having to cook a lot more, I just reduce it and just put, if they get like two, all of them pretty much get 2 cups of food each meal. So that's 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening, 1 meal in the morning, 1 in the evening. So they'll get like a cup of Kibble in the morning and a cup of a home cooked meal topper. So I'm spreading that home cooked out. Now, is it ideal? Not really. Ideal would be for them to have no Kibble at all. Because as I covered in the last episode about how it's really the least nutrient dense of all the varieties of dog food out there. It's the least. So yeah. But I've been doing it. And, it is what it is. So let me just jump into what are the benefits of putting whole food. And when I say whole food, I mean human grade, real food, right? And when I say whole food, I'm not talking about like whipping up a box of, boxed macaroni and cheese and slapping that on top of your dog's food and calling it good. I certainly don't mean that. I mean human grade, like in the store where you and I shop and you and I would eat it. And I mean real food, whole food, okay? That, you have to prepare yourself, and that it doesn't come from a box in, one of the middle aisles in the store. So human grade whole foods. So what are the benefits of using that as a meal topper for your older German Shepherd? I'm sorry, I am going to be taking breaks to cough or sneeze or something like that. So I apologize in advance. Well, it's a really good way to ensure that your older dog is having all of his nutrients met. And I'm not talking about nutrients that were sprayed on or incorporated afterwards. I'm talking like from the source, legit nutrients right from the food itself, which their bodies need to run at optimum health. I mean, it's really exactly like us, you know. I mean, we can take vitamins from the bottles at, you know, the store, which are fine for the most, but idealistically, we are getting our vitamins and nutrients from our food, because food is fuel. And it is the exact same for our older dogs, or any dog in general. I mean, it's the exact same. So that is the benefit, one of the benefits of feeding whole food, human grade whole food, whether it's a meal topper or as a whole meal. Okay, they're getting their nutrients met in the most natural way possible, and therefore, idealistically, they should be running at optimum health, or it should be helping them run at optimum health, and, you know, fighting off things like disease and cancer and all that not fun stuff. Okay. And again, whole foods, whole real foods. So, you know, they're minimally processed or not processed at all. So minimally processed. If you're cooking for your dog, it should be minimally processed, right? You're not throwing burgers out on the grill for your dog. It should be low and slow. Okay, so you're not cooking all the nutrients out of the ingredients. Low and slow. A lot of slow cooker meals, or if you're doing it in a skillet on the stovetop, like I do sometimes, it's at a low temperature, nothing more than medium to high, okay, or medium high, sorry, but I like right around the low to medium or medium, and it takes a little bit more time, but, you know, all the nutrients are still there. That's minimally processed. Not processed at all, that's if you're going to do raw. I'm not on the raw food train just yet. I mean, there are times that they get raw. I guess my issue with that is probably, I don't know, maybe a decade ago now, maybe like 11 years, something like that. I was doing raw for the Woody's Place dogs back then, and we got some food that wasn't so great. We got some meat that wasn't so great. Unbeknownst to me, it didn't smell weird. It didn't look weird. Nothing like that. And I think I had 7 dogs in my care at that time, and no pun intended, it was a giant shit show. Like, it was terrible. Just terrible. And I'm not willing to put myself through that again. The cleanup, them being sick, you know, up literally all night, letting dogs in and out. It was just awful. And, of course, it required a trip to the vet. We had to get metronidazole for some of the dogs, and they were on that for a little bit. And when I was talking to our vet at Carbondale then, all those years ago, she said, you know, she got it. She totally understood. She wasn't opposed to raw either. And then she said, you know, but maybe just try lightly cooking it. And that just clicked in my head. And so I've been doing it ever since. Now, that being said, do they eat raw apples? Yes. Do they eat raw carrots? Yes, they do. Will I throw string beans down on the floor? Yes, absolutely. They eat raw, some raw ingredients. It's just I'm not really super comfortable with raw meat. Based on the experience that I had. And I'm sure it was just a fluke, but in my mind, it's like, well, you know, if I had 1 dog or even 2 dogs that I was looking after, I would probably consider it more. But because there's multiple here, and because they're seniors, actually, I don't even have any seniors right now. They're all geriatric. That could really be detrimental. And I'm just not willing to gamble with that. So I stay away from unprocessed meats. I do minimally processed, and that's what works best for me. That's my reason why. I'm sure there'll be people that I'll hear from that'll say, well, you should do this for raw, you should do that for raw. I get it. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying it is not for me. Okay? That's it. So I just don't want a bunch of emails about this because, it's just overwhelming sometimes. But anyway, all right, so... and again, so what am I using? So I'm using fruits, I'm using vegetables, I'm using eggs, I'm using lean meats, I'm using organ meat, healthy fats, all in their natural state, basically. The whole foods, again, provide with the micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals and fiber and antioxidants, all that good stuff. And again, it improves your older dog's overall health. All right. Another benefit for older dogs having whole food meal toppers, or whole foods in general, is that, it helps with digestive issues. So if you have a dog who, a lot of older dogs have reduced stomach acid production, and that could lead to acid reflux. Like if you have an older dog and you hear them literally retching, and it typically happens several hours after a meal. And you're thinking like, what the heck are they doing? And they're like, they need to be let outside, and all of a sudden they're eating grass and you don't know why. It's acid reflux. That's what that is. As dogs age, again, they have reduced stomach acid production, and home cooking can help with that. Okay, so I forget what it's called. The acid reflux is ileus, I think that's what it's called. Ileus, I believe that's what it is. ILEUS. I think that's what it is. And decreased intestinal mobility. So the decreased intestinal mobility, basically that's like constipation and diarrhea. All right. So home cooking helps with that. And that's another reason why, if you want to stick with the kibble, just incorporate a home-cooked meal topper to help with those issues. And also because, again, their nutrients, they're able to absorb their nutrients better, okay, from the real food. It increases their joint strength, joint strength, better breath. It even helps with stuff like better breath, and also allergy immunities. I'm looking around like, that's my ADHD. Sorry about that. So there's multiple benefits from incorporating a human grade whole food meal topper. All right. And I just listed a bunch. And like I said, it also because they enjoy it. That's like, like part of the reason we like to eat is because we enjoy it. We need it. It's fuel for our body. But why can't we enjoy it too? Well, it's the same for our older dogs. They want to enjoy it. They want to enjoy themselves. That's why they get so excited when they hear the cheese wrapper at the fridge. They want that cheese because they like it. Not because no one needs cheese. Okay. But nobody else needs cheese. But that's why they like it. Right? All right. All joking aside, so it is important to consider both safety and nutritional factors when you're home cooking for your dog at all, whether it be as a meal topper or a whole food meal. All right. So when you're choosing whole foods, whole human grade whole foods for your dog, obviously you have to do what you can afford. That's first and foremost. Do what you can afford. I mean, seriously, if all you can afford to do are eggs, cook up an egg for your dog once a day and just scramble it up and put it in his food, in his kibble, either morning or at night, whichever. Larger dogs can have one egg a day, as long as your dog's not allergic, okay? Just if that's the best you can do that. If you can do 1 egg a day and half an apple, scramble up that egg, put it in the bowl with the kibble, and cut up that half an apple. Cut it up into pieces, and you can leave it raw, and put that in your dog's bowl. Or maybe a sweet potato, like dice up a little bit, cook a sweet potato and dice up a little bit of sweet potato and put it in there. If you can do ground beef, maybe you're having meatloaf for dinner one night. Take like, if you have, an 80-pound dog, and that 80-pound dog is eating, 4 cups of kibble a day, at night, give them 1 cup of kibble and give them half a cup of ground beef with a few blueberries or something like that. Like it can be that simple. See, the thing with the meal topper is, you do have to be concerned about nutrients, but it doesn't have to be properly balanced, because the kibble is. And if you are worried about it being properly balanced, there are supplements that you can add. It's super easy, but we're trying to stay away from that. All right, we're trying to use get the nutrients directly from the food. But I just want to show you how easy it actually is, because I think that is the primary reason why people don't do it is A, it's not convenient, and B, they're scared to, because the big pet food conglomerates have us shaking in our boots and thinking we can't do this ourselves. They have us brainwashed that, oh my gosh, if you do something other than this, you're going to make your dog so sick. Just watch. As a matter of fact, just don't even try it. I mean, it's a crock. It really is. So I want people to be more comfortable making food for their dogs. But there are some things you have to know, and that's what we're covering here. All right. So you want to pick out the best food you can possibly afford for your dog. And you don't want it to be, laced with chemicals or preservatives or additives or anything like that, which can cause a host of problems, from digestive issues to allergies to even cancer. Okay. You want to stay away from anything like that. When I say stuff like that, so for instance, you don't want to go to the lunch meat deli and get a pound of bologna and think that's the protein source that you're going to use for your dog. No, you don't want to do that. All right. You want to stay away from processed meats and stuff like that, like, bacon and pork roll and sausage and all that stuff. Any prepackaged, already cooked meat, you want to stay away from that. Okay. All right. Another thing about, being cautious is you have to introduce these new foods slowly. Okay, again, let's just go back to 1 egg. Try it. Try 1 egg. Try 1 egg every other day. If you have a larger dog, just try 1 egg every other day and see how your dog does with that. Does he end up with loose stool? Is he itching? You want to pay attention to things like that. Is he gaseous? The reason you want to start slow and with 1 thing is because it's just like a kid. If that child's allergic to something, you need to be able to pinpoint what it was. So like when humans are babies, that's what we do. We start out with 1 thing. It's usually formula. And then when they start eating foods, we start out with 1 thing. It's typically like applesauce, baby applesauce or something like that. And then they do that for a little while, and then they move on to pears, and then they do applesauce and pears for a little while. And if all that's good, they move on to applesauce, pears, then carrots, So it's the same thing with our dogs. You want to start out slow. And this way, if something turns up that they're not acting right, then you'll be able to pinpoint what it is and know, okay, no eggs for my dog because now he's itching, and that's the only thing that's changed. All right. And lastly, being cautious about introducing human grade whole food toppers to your older dog is they're going to love it. They're going to love it, and they're going to want more. All right. Just like the cheese. So, they're going to want more. And you may be the type of person that gets very, very enthusiastic about the fact that they love what they're eating. So, they had their cup of kibble, they had their cup of meal topper on top of their kibble, and they devoured it, and they're looking at you with their big puppy dog eyes like, hey, can I maybe just have like half a cup more? Oh, yeah, sure. He's loving it. Let's give him more. Well, that's not gonna fly, if you keep doing that. If they love it so much, I would implore you then to cut out the kibble altogether and just do home cooked for them. Okay. Maybe even if it's just a few times a week, like maybe if you could, 3 out of the 7 nights a week, you can do the whole human grade, whole food meal for them instead of the meal topper. All right. But don't be giving them 2 cups of kibble and then 1 whole cup of meal topper on top, or 1 cup of kibble and 2 whole cups of meal topper on top, because then you're going to have a fat old sausage dog. And that's really not funny, because, that's just, we know that's really bad for their health and their joints and just all of that in general. So stay away from that. Stay away from excess. Okay, when you're shopping for the foods, the whole foods for the meal topper, you want to look for fresh ingredients. Again, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. I can talk. Lean meats are all phenomenal. Organic is best, obviously. Sourcing locally is fantastic, because then what you're buying isn't like, sitting on a tractor trailer from, California to Pennsylvania and then sitting on the shelf in the store for a little bit. So if you can do, locally, if you have farm stands, if you have farmers that you can utilize, if you have CSAs, something like that, if you can grow some of your own, that's even better. So, if you're into that type of thing. So I have a really large garden here at Woody's place, and I have a greenhouse and I have a grow tent. And what I do is I just double up on everything that I'm going to use for myself and Mr. Woody's place. I double up on everything. Like, I planted zucchini. I mean, I don't need like 10 zucchini plants, but I have 10 zucchini plants because I'm going to use zucchini for the dogs. Cucumbers, another thing. I don't need like a ton of cucumber plants, but I planted a ton because I'm going to use some for the dogs. Sweet potatoes. I don't really even like sweet potatoes, but I got a whole sweet potato bed out there because the dogs are going to eat sweet potatoes. So, bush beans, they're like green beans. For those who don't know. So I got a ton of them going. And that's another thing. I don't even like bush beans, but the dogs eat them, and it's good for the dogs. So, so I have a green thumb, and I love to garden, and it's not just for me, and I share with my family, but it's also for the Woody's Place residents. So if you are capable of doing something like that, you don't have to have like a big plot of land, like I have here with a big garden. You can just have buckets, or totes or whatever. And you could put that out on a porch in the backyard if that's what suits you. I mean, it can be a hydroponic, something or other inside your house and just grow something in there. But my point is, if you're willing to, and you can, grow some of the produce for yourself and for your dog as well. I mean, honestly, saves you some money, and you know exactly where it's coming from. All right, we're going to be moving on to preparing and serving the meal topper. So, as I mentioned earlier, you want to start, like I would start with a meat first, like a protein source. And I shouldn't just say meat, because you can use eggs as well. And I keep, babbling on about eggs because I get so many eggs out from our chickens that some days it's like, what am I doing with all these eggs? I think in April I probably gave away, I don't know, maybe 12 dozen eggs to family and friends, and still had plenty for me and Mr. Woody's place and the dogs. It's like, sometimes there truly is too much of a good thing. But anyway, so you could do an egg. You can do eggs, chicken, turkey, beef, venison. So I would start with something like that first, just like a single protein source. And again, see how that goes. So you want to use it for, I would say, like a week. I would say for a week. So if you're going to do beef, you're going to do ground beef. Okay. You want a better quality. Like, I don't think I would do the 80-20, maybe 80. I don't know if you have 85-25, that might be good. I do like the 90-10. Sometimes I'll get the 80-20 if it's on sale and I'll mix it with the 90-10. But 80-20, it's like, it's kind of fatty. And then you're draining off a whole lot of fat too. So if you can, stick with a higher quality, ground beef. A leaner ground beef is what you want, or chicken's lean as it is, as is turkey. So, but if you're going to go with red meat or pork, like a ground pork, it's got to be lean. You definitely want it to be lean, and serve it for a week and see how they go. Maybe even 2 weeks if you're not sure. Just stick with one thing, right, before moving on to the next. But and the protein, it's also rich in amino fatty acids, or essential amino fatty acids, and that of course helps support and repair their muscles. So it's good for them, just like it is us. Okay, so again, let's just go back to ground beef. Let's say you're doing ground beef. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let's just say you're doing ground beef and you've been at it for a week now. At the end of the first week, maybe put some blueberries in there. I know, ground beef and blueberries, that's weird, but your dogs won't care, trust me. Yeah. Maybe just put like a handful of blueberries in there. Or if you're doing maybe 2 pounds of ground beef, maybe put a cup of blueberries in. And, just once you cook them in there, they kind of get just mushed in there. Or if you're not comfortable doing blueberries or apples or like a fruit with the ground beef, do carrots. Shred some carrots and cook some carrots in there, or green beans or something along those lines. But after the first week of doing the beef, or 2 weeks of doing the beef, whatever it is that you decide to do, incorporate a vegetable and then see how that goes for a little while longer. See if there's any changes or anything like that. But you want to start getting the fruits and vegetables in there. Of course, the protein's great for reasons of its own, but then the fruits and vegetables, it's packed with antioxidants, of course, which, fights against cancer and all kinds of good stuff. So you want to introduce them sooner rather than later, but only do one for a little while and then see how that goes. All right. Another thing you want to incorporate in the meal topper is healthy fat. Some sort of a healthy fat for your dog. Olive oil is great. Organic cold pressed coconut oil is fantastic. Even, fish oil. Omega-3 fatty acids. It's fantastic. You can even use some of the ground beef fat. I do. That also has nutrients in it as well, but there's you definitely don't want to use too much of that or any fat really, because it can affect their pancreas. They can end up with pancreatitis and stuff like that. But you do have to incorporate some sort of healthy fat, or you would want to incorporate some sort of healthy fat in there. And again, the omega-3 fatty acids. It's good for our brains. It's good for our joints. It's good for cardiovascular health, their skin, their coat. It's good for lots of things. So, what I do is, and it also helps reduce inflammation. Sorry. So what I do is, like, when I'm done cooking the ground beef and, all the fats there and everything, I drain just about all of the fat, but I will leave a little bit of fat. I mean, it also has flavor too. But then I will put coconut oil in or olive oil in or something along those lines and just kind of mix it in there. But again, it's a balance, because you don't want to do too much, because then, you could end up with adverse effects, which, are usually pretty crappy. pun intended. Now, if you're comfortable doing this, you don't have to for a meal topper, but it certainly would be good for your dog. If you're comfortable, incorporate an organ meat as well, such as like chicken liver, chicken hearts or kidneys or something along those lines. They are packed with essential nutrients, just packed. But see, that could be too much of a good thing too. Like there's a lot of vitamin A in there, and there's fat soluble vitamins in there, and it could build up in their fat and lead to toxicity. So you have to be careful with that as well. And that's why I'm saying if you're comfortable with it, because again, you're not too concerned about it being a balanced meal because you're using kibble and that's balanced. If you were using this as your dog's only source of food, you would need to use organ meat. Okay. Organ meat, compromises about 10% of your dog's, overall daily food intake. But if you're just doing a meal topper, it's not a factor. All right. Something else you would want to incorporate into your dog's meal topper. And again, it doesn't have to be every single time. I don't do it every single time, but I do it most of the time, is I include herbs. So I was just telling you I have a grow tent here in the house, and I have a lot of herbs in there, a lot. I have marjoram, I have thyme, I have oregano, I have basil, I have rosemary, oh my gosh, parsley. I have parsley. Like I have a lot of herbs growing in there all year long. And I use them for cooking for Mr. Woody's place and I, but I certainly do use them for the residents of Woody's place as well. The other night I just ran in there. My gosh, what was I doing? I was like a maniac. I got them some rosemary, fresh rosemary. I got them marjoram. I got them thyme. And I'm like, oh, you know what? They could use a little parsley too. And I'm like snipping away. And then I just go over to my skillet where their meal topper is. And I just start cutting with my scissors and it just goes all over. And they love it. I mean, they love it and I love it. I love that I know it's nutritious for them and that I grow it right here from seeds. So it really does make me feel good in it, and it makes them feel good too. But herbs strengthen your older dog's immune system. It promotes good digestion. Excuse me. It can ease inflammation and soothe aching joints. So there's a lot of benefits from using herbs. And again, you want to try to use fresh herbs because, when you're going to the store, if you're not getting a good quality herb, I don't really know if you're going to get the benefits that you should be getting it. I want to tell you right now, like when you go into the store, I'm always perplexed. Like when I look at parsley in a plastic container and it's the exact same shade of green. There's no variation whatsoever, and that's not natural. I mean, it's just not natural. Like I dehydrate parsley here. I have a dehydrator and I know there are variations in the leaves. They're not it's not a uniform green. There are variations, there are shades of green. So I'm always perplexed when I see things like parsley that are all like this beautiful, just beautiful green that's the same on every little speck in that container. That's a red flag for me, folks. So I just be wary of things like that. And the reason you're doing this to begin with is to, give your older dog, the best life you can possibly give them. And you're going to all this length to make human grade whole food toppers for their meal. I mean, why would you want to grab that for, herbs? So just be careful. So anyway, so one of the best herbs that I use, which I also grow here, is turmeric. It's turmeric. I literally have pots of turmeric that I grow. I know, I sound like a nut job. I hear myself sometimes, trust me. Turmeric is, I'll just read it to you. Turmeric, it's a bright yellow spice, has potent anti-inflammatory properties that can help reduce pain caused by arthritis in senior dogs. And it does. I don't even mind the smell anymore. I used to not like the smell, but now I don't even mind the smell. And I like to use the turmeric in our golden paste recipe, which is compromised of the turmeric and the coconut oil and black pepper. And I have a recipe for that on the Life with Old Dogs blog. But I'm telling you now, I'll just let you know now, if you are a subscriber to the Life with Old Dogs podcast, and you can get that on our website at the Woody's Place website at WPSGSS. So if you're not, go there, WPSGSS.org, scroll not even halfway down, and you'll see a little postcard that says join our pack, and all you do is put your name and your email address, and then you are subscribed. And I'm sending a free PDF little ebook of this podcast episode with all the information in it, and it also includes 3 meal topper recipes. Okay, so you'll get that for free, but only subscribers. Only subscribers are getting that. So that golden paste recipe that I was just telling you about, that's in this ebook. All right, so be sure to go subscribe. I'll make sure the information's in the show notes, so you can do that. But it will be going out this Friday. Let's see. Okay, another thing I add to I added to all of the home cooked, not all, but most of the home cooked meals, but you can add it to your human grade whole food meal topper as well, is bone broth. And they love that. Oh my gosh, they literally lick their bowls clean when they have human grade whole cooked meals, meal topper, whatever, with the bone broth on top. Some of them don't love the golden paste, and I'm sure it's the turmeric. They just don't love it. But there's not one resident that I have or have had in the past that doesn't love the bone broth. So that also helps with their overall health, digestive support. It helps again with their skin and coat, and supports their joints. So bone broth is amazing. And also, if you have an older dog, it helps keep them hydrated. So that's really good, because sometimes older dogs forget to drink, or they're so sore they don't really want to get up to drink, even though they need to drink. So it provides them with that extra hydration that maybe they're not getting throughout the day. So if you want the recipe for that is also going to be in this PDF ebook as well, but it's also on the Life with Old Dogs podcast. All right. So lastly, in order to accommodate incorporating this human grade whole cooked meal topper into your dog's meal, you have to remember to reduce the amount of kibble you're giving them. Again, I just talked about this a little while ago, but I can't stress this enough. I actually know of a gentleman who, really wanted to do this, and I was trying to help him and everything, and his dog was putting on weight, and I was talking with him, about this, and he swore up and down. He had reduced the kibble, but then I talked with his wife, and she was like, no, he's still putting the whole amount in there. So, okay, the dog is not complaining, but it's just not good. You're not doing this to have any adverse effects. Again, you're going to all of this length to improve your older dog's overall quality of life and health, because you want them to be with you for as long as possible and enjoying their life as much as possible. So I know that some folks, equate love with food, and that's okay. A lot of people do. I mean, that's where some of the best family dynamics take place is around the table with food. I mean, my father's family is Italian. My great-grandparents came right from Italy, and I know what a giant table of food looks like. I mean, we used to have the 7 fishes on Christmas Eve, so I know. And trust me, I was just this little, like, towhead running around, eating every pasta in sight and even every regatta cheese cookie I could get my hands on. I get it. And it was even better because, my mama made it. So I totally understand. But realistically, we can't do that. And we don't want to do that to our dogs either, especially an older dog, because it's going to catch up to them quickly, okay? Just like it does us as we get older. I mean, I am in my 50s now, and I don't know where these extra pounds have come from, but it's just the way that it is, and we have to work harder to keep the pounds off as we get older. Our metabolisms change and whatnot, and it's the same for our dogs, okay? So please, if I can stress one thing, it's that please remember to remove some kibble if you are incorporating human-grade whole food meal topper, okay? Let's see. What else? All right. I think that's about it. In conclusion, your dog's going to love you for this. Really, if you're not their best friend already, you're going to be after this. And mealtime is going to become so much more enjoyable for them and you as well. I know you're the one that's going to be doing the work and whatnot, but trust me when I say, when you see their reaction and how vibrant they become, because now they're dancing around. Like, here's your older dog who's pretty much just laying around a lot, right? Kind of just slow pace and whatnot. And then all of a sudden they're smelling actual food in their bowl. I'm telling you, while you are putting their food together, they're going to be standing right beside you. Right beside you, praying and hoping something falls that they can nibble on. But they're gonna love you for this, and you're gonna love the fact that they have come to life over this, really. So I just want you to have fun with it. So I hope this helps with folks who just either A, don't want to cook for their dog all the time, or B, just can't. Just it's not in the schedule. It's not in the schedule, and I totally get that. But this should help a little bit, all right? And again, even if you do like a 70-30 split, let's just say, again, 4 nights out of the week, maybe your dog's getting kibble and canned. And then 3 nights out of the week, they're getting the meal topper instead. And I can hear people now, oh, my dog won't eat, the can now if they get the kibble. I mean, I think they will. It happens here. I deal with a lot of dogs, and it happens here. If they don't get home cooked or, a human grade whole food meal topper, and I just end up giving them kibble or can, they eat it. But your dog may be different, because maybe you just have one dog or something like that. And if that's the case, you're just going to have to look into doing the human grade whole food meal topper. All right. Again, I have a free PDF ebook on this podcast right here. I have it all typed up, okay? Kibble with a Kick, adding whole food to your older dog's diet. How fun is that, right? I did that. But I have it all typed up right here. And the last couple of pages, I came up with a few recipes. They're recipes that I use here for meal toppers. Again, these are not nutritionally balanced, okay? So I don't want you thinking these are like, meals for your dog, whole meals for your dog, because these are not nutritionally balanced. Meal toppers. So one is chicken, asparagus, and sweet potatoes. That's pretty easy. Then we have a couple others. I don't want to say what they are. All right. So be sure if you're a subscriber, you're getting this anyway. You're going to get it on Friday. If you are not a subscriber to the Life with Old Dogs newsletter, but you want this ebook, you need to become a subscriber. Okay? And I'll make sure the information's in the show notes. Again, you're just going to go to the website, Woody's Place website. So it's Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary. But then we have the Life with Old Dogs podcast, blog, and newsletter. And you're going to be signing up for that, all right? And that, like I said, that'll be on our main page, wpsgss.org. Scroll down just a little bit, find that postcard, join our pack. All you do is put in your name and your email and submit, and then you'll get this. Folks, I'm sorry if I paused a lot. I'm sorry if I look a little peaked, a little drained or whatever. It's been a tough week. I've definitely not been well. So I did the best I could to look good, although I feel like I've been hit with a truck. And hopefully next week's podcast, I'll look a little bit more perky. All right. Until then, be well.